time is all you said to me. And I swore I heard.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Rise and Thrive. I'm Zachariah Julian, a singer songwriter from the Hickory Apache Nation in northern New Mexico. And I have an amazing, talented guest. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. G. Precious coming from Okiawinga here in New Mexico, just a little south of Hickory Nation. So, good morning.
Cousin tribes. I love it. I love it. I love your shirt. Where did you get that?
I actually cannot tell you where I got this shirt. I'm always online all over on various sites just trying to find cool gear. Show gear is what I call it.
Yeah.
We always got to look good and make statements when we're taking the stage. So,
Yeah,
always.
you're talking about like stage gear and show gear. There was a website I came across that just sells gear for musicians on the stage, and it was just the the, the most ridiculous things you've ever seen, and I wanted everything. It was hilarious.
That's
Um,
the bad part. That's the bad part.
excellent. So like for people who don't know, we're like broadcasting on the East Coast, all over the place. Like, what do you do?
I actually do a million things, but right now, my main focus has been on my music. I do hip hop, R&B, mix a lot of my native culture into my music, into my messages, and so that's kind of been my main focus. Lately,
Mm,
just pushing music. Especially with the pandemic and everything, we've had a lot of time to just sit, reflect, and work. Do a lot of writing and recording and whatnot. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely putting in work.
yeah. Like it's amazing. Um, like I remember when the pandemic happened, I slept for like a week and a half because they were just like, go home, go away, uh, stay safe. And I slept for a week and a half, and then after a week and a half, I'm like, I need to do something. Like I have to do something. I'm a musician after all. I should go out there and write. And it was very fortuitous in its kind of bleakness of using that moment and absorbing the inspiration that was there in order to write a great album. You just released a new album.
I did. I just released the Forgotten, and I have to say it's probably one of my best works. I love from beginning to the end. Every single song in there's got a message. Lots of talent on this album. I did have a collaboration with Macy Gray. Just totally loving it. Love the inspiration. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and I was able to work with a Grammy artist. Totally amazing.
That's phenomenal. That's amazing. Yeah, I was listening to it last night, and it's a great album. It's really solid. And I when I first started in music, when I first started, I used to listen to hip hop and rap. I was into Public Enemy, Digital Underground. I'm from the '80s, like the
Oh,
old school stuff. And
oh,
I got into metal and then jazz, classical. It kind of went down this whole streak. And then, but I always kept my ear to kind of like hip hop and rap. Um, but yours is good. This is a great album. This is a really solid album. It's very, um, it harkens back to this like old school sound. It's not inundated with a bunch of instruments, a bunch of auto tuning. It's just you, and you're having fun, and there's a lot of soul in that music. When did you start writing this album?
I literally started writing this album. I'm gonna say uh, maybe around November of the year before.
Mm,
September, well, October, November of the year before. And so I had started writing a lot of the songs. I was already in the studio recording. And, when the pandemic hit, I was still recording and still working on a lot of the songs that were going to go, into the final album. And I just thought that because of COVID, I wasn't going to be able to finish recording.
yeah,
There were just so many things that were happening, trying to stay safe, keep my producer safe, studio folks, just kind of worried about everybody, and their families and everything else, and just trying to keep everybody safe. But I was able to thankfully, just get in one to one with my producer and was able to record song after song after song. I mean, we literally did a couple of Saturdays in a row and just recorded basically all day, mix, master, did the whole 9 yards, all while trying to do, album cover,
Yeah.
artwork, design, everything. It was just, just trying to be creative, I think, within that moment and just not waste the time of being at home, versus, always, having to do the 8 to 5 and, come home and doing your music as an afterthought, so it was like just being able to focus and, put my heart and everything into the album was just, it was amazing. I am thankful that I was able to get it done.
Yeah, it sounds phenomenal. I mean, it's great. You have a great producer. The sound quality is great. Would you mind me asking what studio like you recorded? How did you do that?
I work with a local studio here in Española, Steve Chavez,
Mm.
Hispanic Music Award winner. Um, I've been working with Steve since back in probably 2009. Since then, I just love his studio. It's real down to earth. You're just able to just, be in a quiet environment where you can just really tune in and vibe and focus on your art. A lot of times you see in big movies where people have their studio full of all kinds of people just hanging out, kicking back. And to me it's like I just feel like I can't focus if I have too many people in the space. And so I love going to his little studio. It just kind of gives us that one to one. And
Mm.
yeah, definitely.
That that's amazing. I remember I toured studios before I recorded my first album, and like you go into the studio and you go into the right studio. I went into Rio Grande Studios, and immediately I knew. I'm like, this is it. Like this had the soul that I needed for the music I wanted to write to present. It really becomes a part of you. Amazing how the studio, your producer, it's essential, and you have a great team behind you. So it's going to be amazing to see what you do with that. You were talking about your cover art and a little behind the scenes. The producers love your new album's artwork. How did you do that? Who
I
did that for you?
actually I had this thought, of what I was going for as far as the forgotten. The true message behind the forgotten, it goes a lot deeper. I wanted to bring awareness, to the missing and murdered indigenous women, men, children. And that's basically where the song title came from, the forgotten. As native indigenous people, many times we are forgotten. A lot of people don't realize we're still here, we're still thriving. We're still as much in our culture, our traditions, our language. you know just basically we're here, we're alive. And that's what I wanted my album cover to signify, the forgotten. And so if you look at my album cover, you can see all the messages, the intent that went into it, the missing and murdered indigenous women, the red hand over my mouth, silencing of our people, of our victims, the blood stains on my hands. There's so much in the cover, that I think that was what I was going for. I wanted people to look at that art cover and just sit there and decipher it. What was she thinking when she, you know, was working on the album cover. And that's basically what it was. I wanted people to look at it and decipher, kind of go into my thought as to what I was thinking.
Wow. I mean, it's a powerful album. I mean, it does make you look twice. So yeah, it's a beautiful artwork. Truly, the colors, the symbolism, and the message. I mean, you got it all combined, and then it's awesome hearing an album that matches the cover, like the music matches the cover. Yeah, because never judge a book by its cover, but your album, the artwork and the music complement itself. So yeah, you did. great job on that. Um, yeah. So what kind of we're gonna take a quick break here in a minute, but like we're gonna get into like your influences, how you started. Like I can't wait to get into this, but we'll take a quick break here on USALA Radio. This is Rise and Thrive with Zachary Julian and G Precious. We'll be right back.
Take me out one more time is all you said to me. And I swore I heard.
Hi, welcome back. Sorry, we're talking to the producer. We're gonna show some of the music G Precious has composed. I guess we'll do that after the next break. You want to do that? Um, yeah, I'm excited. So, how old were you when you started? Like, what were your influences getting into this?
Wow, I think I've always had a love for music. Just growing up, I've been just dancing through the living room, writing little songs and doing all kinds of madness as a kid. I think that my earliest writing was probably when I was 6 years old. I just had a love, a passion for music. Watching La Bamba and just being
That's
a
awesome.
kid and just loving music. But I have to say my influences are early on Michael Jackson. Loved Michael Jackson. I mean, I could moonwalk on carpet if need be.
Do it. Do it.
Janet,
No, no, no. I'm kidding.
yeah, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, Cher, Tina Turner. I just love the 80s. The music from the 80s era was just, fantastic. You can't beat the 80s. That's what I always say. The music then was just amazing. You had something to dance to, vibe to, groove to. Those were my influences. As far as hip hop, Queen Latifah, been jamming to her since day one. MC Light, just really taking it old school. Naughty by Nature. Of
Nice.
course, Dr. Dre. You can't pass on them. Snoop Dogg. Ice Cube. You just had your whole list of influences, and that's where a lot of my influence came from, in music.
You got some good teachers. You recently got a shout out by Ice T, Ice Cube,
Ice
Ice Cube.
Cube, yeah,
What was that about? Please go into that.
yeah. I have to tell you, I was totally stoked. I had no idea that this shout out was even coming, and so I was actually in Colorado Springs. Gosh, where was I? Where was I? Was I in Colorado Springs? But I was like checking my emails and I saw this video, and it's like, you got a shout out, and I was like, what? So I pressed play, and it's like I'm listening to this and I'm seeing Ice Cube, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I mean, I started doing like this crazy little dance in the hotel lobby, and people kind of looking over at me from their breakfast, and I'm doing this dance. And I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I wish somebody would have captured my reaction video because it would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I punched a few people that were standing around me. So yeah, but I was stoked. Hey, Ice Cube, wow,
Uh, wow, that's amazing. Like, congratulations. That gives you some makes you stand up straight. That's awesome.
right?
And you have this little video on your social media.
Yeah, yeah, I've got it on my Facebook.
Uh,
Shared it on there, and it got like 100, like I don't know, about 100 shares just from family and friends, and yeah, I was like, it was crazy. A lot of people were like, what?
that's amazing. That's amazing. Anyways, going back to how you started, but like, when did you first start picking up that like microphone, getting on that
I
stage?
I would probably say I started picking up the microphone probably in my early teens. I started hitting. talent shows, at schools, open mics, doing, just little things here and there. I actually at that point started putting a lot of my poetry to music. Started working with a couple of friends from home, that were kind of dabbling with instrumental type stuff, keyboards, drums and whatnot. So we were just messing around, we'd create our own little, tunes and stuff, and we'd take it to talent shows. So I would say about 13 is when I actually started, hitting the stage and whatnot. But I didn't actually get into a studio and start recording until later on, but you know how it goes. Sometimes you're there going, I should have gone, full force at that time. But yeah, timing, I think, is everything.
Yeah, it's amazing how life kind of just matches up with you sometimes. Like I feel sometimes I've wasted so much time just living life, but I realize I wouldn't be able to write the music that I tend to with the amount of soul and experience without living that life. I mean, it's essential as artists, just kind of interpreting the daily grind and how it
Yes.
kind of goes through us. Yeah. So what other kind of like artistic expressions do you have?
Wow. Besides my music and all of that, I mean, I do my 8 to 5, but
Yeah.
I also play women's semi-pro football. I
Whoa.
gotta give a shout out to my women's team, Rio Grande Heat. But I love staying active. Just being involved in every which way I can. Whether it's sports, community events. Performing for the elders, the children, teens. I just love being active, being involved with my community and all the other surrounding communities. So I'm not sure if you were out there. I came out to Hickory a couple years back. I came out to the youth conference that they were having there.
Yeah.
It was an amazing show. I loved coming out to Hickory, so I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, yeah. No, they do this like on my reservation they have this little they put on a concert for all the workers and like the youth. It's just kind of promote good vibes and like something to do. And they bring out musicians like you and me, and we sit there and perform for them. But no, I didn't get to go to that one. That was last year. Oh no, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 19, I think, 2019.
Yeah, yeah. God, it's been a while since I've done that one. But no, thank you for going up there.
Yeah,
How was the reaction?
I was slated for 2020 as well.
Yeah.
And so when the pandemic hit, that got canceled, everything got canceled, but my show in Hickory was amazing. I did a full hour show. I brought out my whole crew, my dance troupe and my DJ. We brought out the whole vibe. We had the community painting a giant white canvas.
That's
it,
amazing.
it, it was amazing. It was really amazing, and just bringing the community together was totally awesome.
Yeah,
Which is what I love to do. I love to bring the people together any which way possible.
that sounds so much fun. That sounds like so much fun. Um, I like musicians like you who understand the importance of giving back. Um, because we've been very fortunate, but also just continuing to connect with our people and helping other communities, not just your own, and especially the elders. Um, like, what do they think of your set and your show? I was watching, not to jump ahead, but I was gonna get in. I'll get into the New Mexico Music Award performance. But you have like traditional opening. You have a drum, you have a basket, and you're saying a prayer. Like that's powerful. Like, what is the reaction you get from that?
It's a lot of positivity. I enjoyed. I did a Rise tour in 2019, and I basically went through New Mexico. From tribe to tribe. From Acoma, Zuni, all the way. To Hickory Nation, and I hit as many youth centers, summer programs. I went to senior centers. It was amazing, to be able to just reach that diverse of a group, young kids all the way to elders, and the reaction was very positive. A lot of the elders would come up and talk to me after and, just give me advice and, thank me for, sharing my story, my message, and reaching out to the kids, and touching on those topics, that a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, diabetes, I even went for the elders, I talked about Alzheimer's and dementia, because that was something that my grandma struggled with, and so it was awesome to share my grandma's story with the elders and have them be able to relate to that, was really amazing. And it helped a lot of people open up as well, about their own struggles. So, yeah.
Ah, you're a good soul. That's amazing. That's so awesome. So going to the football, like how did you get into that?
I actually got into football probably about 8 years ago. I just happened to see an ad in the paper seeking, women's football players, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this. You know what I mean? I'm the kind of person that'll try something once, and so I went out and I worked out with the team, showed up to some practices, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I think I can do this, and so it was like I bought my gear, my helmet, my shoulder pads. My first game was in Roswell playing on, I kid you not, a sheet of ice. It was like they were having a freeze of some sort. The ground was frozen. The temperature, I can't even tell you what the temperature was. But people were sitting in their cars. They wouldn't even get down. They had their heaters on, and us crazies were running around on this sheet of ice playing football. That was my first game, and I loved it. I tell you, when I was flying out on the ride home, I felt everything, but I was like, that was an amazing experience, and I've been playing ever since. So
That's wild. Like what position do you play?
I am actually on the defensive line, defensive end, and I love it. I love pressuring the QB and
Mm,
shutting things down.
that sounds amazing. And for listeners who don't know, New Mexico, it doesn't really snow in Roswell. It's always hot in Roswell. Like everybody knows it for aliens, but there's the alien crash. But it's really hot in Roswell. So when it snows, it's a rare event. So I can't even like. I used to play football in high school. I was just went to the practices. I never really got into it, and I loved it. But playing football on the reservation, res ball as we call it, just in our jeans and shirts, and we're just clobbering each other on Thanksgiving in the cold. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just like you feel that as soon as you sit next to the fire. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So, are you still playing?
I'm still playing, and so I love it. I'm actually founder and owner right now, but I still play. I still take the field with my ladies, and I'm still on the defense. I take offense every once in a while, fill in some spots there, but I love defense.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. I'm proud of you. I mean, keeping yourself active. Yeah. Have you been playing, like practicing or anything to do the COVID?
We've been practicing in small groups since earlier this year. I think we started practicing like in January, February ish. And
Mhm.
so we've been doing small little groups, and just lately we've been able to have, 10 to 15, players, grouping up and able to practice and whatnot. But of course, still, following the restrictions on masking and, sanitizing and all that good stuff. So, we've actually played one game so far, and this weekend we travel to El Paso to take on the Stealth. So, we're looking forward to that, bringing the heat of New Mexico to Texas, and hopefully we get that win.
That's awesome. That's so cool. We're going to take another quick little break here, and when we come back, we're actually going to play some of your music, so some of the listeners can get a taste of your sound. I'm very excited. Rise and Thrive on USALA Radio. Zachariah Julian with G Precious.
G Precious. Take me out one more time is all you said to me. And I swore I heard.
I'm Zachariah Julian on USALA Radio. Got a very special guest, G Precious, and we're gonna play some of her music. I'm very, very excited. What do we got here? I think we're gonna do. Is it Hands in the Air? Is what we're gonna play, or are we doing?
Awesome.
Yeah. Or do you want to do Unforgotten?
Either one.
I'm excited. Let's see what they choose. They are very good songs. Sorry about that. Looks like we're having issues. So, who are some of the musicians that you collaborate with on this album?
So on this album, like I said, I've got Macy Gray, Hands in the Air. If Hands in the Air is coming on, I utilized one of my community members. He goes by Prick Lunatic.
Nice.
I worked with Fedaro out of Florida, Ashley C. DeBaca out of Santa Fe. She is amazing. She is actually the vocal you hear on Concrete Angels. She is awesome. I love working with Ashley. Totally humble, beautiful voice. She just had a baby, so how exciting. Queen Envy, Lady B, Jack Flute Holland out of he's actually also a Native American Music Award winner on the flute. And so if you've listened to the song The Forgotten, that's his amazing flute in the background. I was totally thankful that he came on board and worked with me on this project. It was kind of interesting, to work with all these artists just via, talking to them, Zoom, emails, phone calls, doing all kinds of crazy stuff that we normally do, in person. It was really interesting to kind of work, outside the bubble. And, thankfully I was able to get all these folks on board and we were able to collaborate, and, the album came out amazing,
So you were communicating through COVID while COVID was going on, and were you ever like in the same room at the same time, or was it just like yeah? So when you went to the studio, it was just like, we got this.
Yeah, we got this. And so, a lot of it was just communicating, sharing my thoughts, my ideas, and, where I wanted, each song to go, the message, and, just working together in that way, and they send me, whatever their verses or their sounds, or, and we were able to just kind of mix it in, and it worked, it totally outside the box.
That's amazing. I just got word that we got the song up for you, Hands in the Air. So yeah, take it away. Let's hear it.
G Precious.
Prick Lunatic. Yeah, Prick Lunatic.
Let's give it to him. A little something like this.
All day, all night.
Wave your hands in the air, girl.
All day, all night.
Wave your hands in the air, girl.
All day, all night.
Wave your hands in the air, girl.
All day, all night.
Wave your hands
Record a
in the
music
air,
video.
girl. So it
sexy, so fine. Brown eyed girl, put your body on mine. Come dance with me one time. Nothing like a little bump and grind. You're looking so beautiful tonight. Got me flying high, feeling alright. Wish I had a girl like you by my side. Follow me, girl, let me be your guide. G precious and I'm bona fide. Don't be shy, put your hand in mine. Got me blinded, your smile so bright. Beautiful like a ray of sunshine. Your music like a sweet summer chime. A treasure that I pray to find. Are you interested, girl? Send me a sign. We'll let our bodies intertwine. All day, all night.
The quality of that is sounds really good. I like albums like this because you can hear that you're having fun. You can hear that the music is you're letting the music breathe, and you're just in the groove.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. Um, I we recorded an album during COVID too, and it was the same thing. Like I didn't see my musicians, like my guitarist who I've known for like 30 years. I couldn't see him. The I worked with three different drummers. I couldn't see them. It was all through emails and just sending files. And then it was there's so many moving pieces and the anxiety of finally getting to the studio and then hearing us, like the stress just melted off. Like oh my god, I forget that we're working with very talented people. So it must have been the same way with you.
Yeah, definitely. Just being able to piece it all together, and hear it, you know, just to be able to listen to it and be like, wow, we were able to create all this stuff, even though we weren't able to be in the same room and, work on things like we're used to. Like I said, it was just me and Steve hanging out in the studio and, maintaining our distance as well, while being like, oh, that's a good song, and I mean, we couldn't even high five or anything like that. We're like, elbows in the air, it was just, strange, I mean, I'm the type that if I see you, I'm going to give you a big, big old hug and, the New Mexico handshake, the whole nine. And so it was just a strange time, rolling into the studio and being like, hey, let's do this. And, but I'm just glad it worked out. The albums. I love the album. I bump it every once in a while. Right now, I'm bumping some new stuff. I'm working on another
Ooh,
project right now, so I've got some new tunes. Playing in the stereo and
that's
getting
awesome.
ready
We'll,
to.
we'll get into that. Like for those of you who are listening, that's Hands in the Air from your new album. Um, was it Forgotten? Uh, with a beautiful artwork. It's truly beautiful. Um, but yeah, so I was watching some of your videos on YouTube, and you performed at the New Mexico Music Awards.
Yeah,
What was that like?
it was awesome. Just being nominated. That year I think I had 3 or 4 nominations. And so I was totally excited, to take the stage. They were like, creating that nice little 15, 20-minute flow. And it was like, what do I want to represent? What do I want to bring? And so, like I said, I love, mingling, contemporary music with our traditional, sounds, the flute, the drums, the bells, the shells, bringing all those sounds, the rattle, to contemporary music. I love doing that. And so being able to perform at the New Mexico Music Awards was totally awesome. I was looking forward to it because I had never to that point had not seen, another native band take the stage at the New Mexico Music Awards. And so for me, that was an honor, to finally kind of, crash through that glass and give, you know, our people, that place on stage, to bring, our people to the forefront. at the New Mexico Music Awards was totally awesome. And then winning, the Native American award that night was amazing, because I was representing my grandmother, in the Native American category. She was one who stressed, learning our language, learning the dances, learning to pray and just carrying ourselves in a certain way. And so for me, it was like I had those nominations, but I was there saying, if I walk out of here with anything, I want the Native American Music Award for the night. And I won, and I was like, this is for you, Grams.
That's
It
beautiful.
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, that's powerful. Um, Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to this year. I actually just got word, I've got 5 nominations this year with The Forgotten. The Forgotten is just killing it left and right. And I just love that, this CD is kind of taking a life of its own. We as artists, we love that, right? We love to put our music out there and it kind of just takes off on its own. And so that's basically The Forgotten is kind of carrying itself and I'm just on for the ride.
Wow, congratulations. It's always interesting with because once you release that album and you just let it go into the ether, it's no longer yours. I mean, it's you, but it's for the public now. It's out there. So I'm sure the responses you've been getting has been just phenomenal.
Yeah.
um,
It's been cool to watch, definitely.
yeah, I could, yeah. One of the important things about being a musician and a performer is half the battle is the music, the other half is live performance. At the New Mexico Music Awards, you started out with like a prayer. You came out with a drum, you got a basket, and you're smoking it out in there, and like you're talking about your grandmother. Was she like the most influential about your culture? Is that where your culture comes from? You think?
Definitely. She taught me she basically raised me. I was raised by my grandmother. And so, since a young age, she taught the importance of our Tewa language, our dances, why we dance, our attire, everything. And she ingrained that in me, participating, being respectful, treating people, the way that I wanted to be treated. She taught me so much, and I'm really thankful for her. I always say, I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for her teachings, her guidance and keeping me on the straight and narrow, and so I just feel like, everybody's got that one person in their life that just makes that difference, makes that impact. And for me, it was my grandmother. She raised me to be the person that I am. And without her, I think, I don't think I'd be the person I am. I was definitely taking a wrong path there for a while in my teen years. And, she kind of reeled me back in and was like, you need to get on board here.
Yeah.
But, you know,
That's wonderful. I'm glad you had that influence. It comes out in your music and your personality. Yeah, that's beautiful. Sounds like a strong person. Yeah. So you were kind of teasing. We're going to take a quick break again in a little bit here, but you were kind of teasing that you're working on some new music. Like,
oh, yeah.
how far are you into this? Like into the writing process of a new album?
Wow, writing process. I think I've got about 8 songs right now, recorded in draft form. I always say draft form because I go in and I'll lay the whole song and then bring it out. Gives me something to tune to vibe to. And so I jammed in my music, a couple of weeks before I return back to the studio, fix everything in it, record new ones. So I'm hoping to have about a 14 to 16 song album
Wow.
coming in soon, but I've got 8 so far.
Wow. I kind of get into the like your process. I really want to talk about your writing process and like the tones that you pick for your albums. because they're very inspirational, but everyone has like there's a message in every album, and it's good. It's good messages. But we'll take another quick little short break here on USALA Radio. This is Rise and Thrive with Zachariah Julian and G Precious. Great conversation.
Take me out one more time is all you said to me. And I swore I heard.
Welcome back to Rise and Thrive on USALA Radio. Zachariah Julian with G Precious. We're talking about new material you're working on. So you have 8 songs. So walk me through how your process is on writing. Like, what do you work on first? You get the beat down, or you hear some words? Like, where you at?
I think my process starts with the beat, definitely. You know, sometimes I work in reverse, so I'll come with the hook. You know, I'll come with the hook and build around that. You know, but a lot of times I start with the music, definitely. You know, start with the music, what I'm going for. You know, just depends on the song I'm writing. You know,
Yeah.
the message I want to get across. And so, you know, I don't know. I think I just kind of I go with the flow with the song. You know, I kind of let the songs write themselves. Um, I tell people, you know, a lot of my songs come from just life. You know, life experiences. You know, personal experiences, and I share a lot of myself. You know, in my music, and so I think you know people if they've followed me from you know my first album On My Shoulders to my latest album, The Forgotten, you know quite a bit about me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what makes the music good. There's a couple of things you said there. Following the music, I notice a lot of musicians kind of don't do this, and that's fine. Like there's always like different types of music you can write, but when you just let the music breathe and let it do its thing, it's amazing how your words just fall into place, and like even things you would never think you would sing about or talk about, music really is kind of like this therapy, especially not just for the listener, but for the writer. So it's very healing. I mean, you feel that way when you write your lyrics, like, oh, I got it out. I got it out.
Definitely, you know, music. I always say music is medicine. You know, it's a healing process, and for me, you know, it's definitely been a healing process. You know, just dealing with you know the losses in my life. You know, my grandmother. You know, my aunt, my brother. Just dealing with those losses. You know, and being able to put what I was feeling into words, into songs, you know, it definitely helped lift quite a bit off my shoulders,
Yeah,
you know, and since I was able to put all that down, it's almost like my music just went, you know what I mean? I was able to just kind of let it go, let myself heal, and you know, move forward, you know, in a positive light, and just continue to live, because I
yeah,
know that's what they would have wanted for me, you know, is to continue to live, keep pushing forward, and you know whatever aspects I chose. So it's definitely a healing process.
yeah. That's well said. So with the new album, the new content that you're working on, is it would you say it's a continuation of The Forgotten, or would you say it's something completely different that you're working on? Or
Mm,
have you seen it yet? Have you seen the painting yet?
I've kind of seen the painting. You know, I don't think I've chosen a title for the new album. Have I chosen the title? I can't even think if I've chosen a new title. But you know, just the writing and everything, it just continues. You know, the healing continues. You know, I think we have so many things that you know we overcome on a daily basis, you know, within our lives, within ourselves, and just being able to you know
Yeah,
put it out there and let it breathe. You know, we just keep pushing, keep moving forward. But this new album's got you know it's got some heart and soul in it, which you know I love. I love bringing love, love and light and
Oh,
inspiration, motivation, happiness.
yeah. I mean, you can really hear it in your music. There's a lot of emotion there. Yeah, you really tapped into a good sound. Just keep doing that. Let it grow. I'm sure. I mean, we're human. We're all going to change. So the music will change. But yeah, you're in an awesome path right now. But we're kind of winding down here. We got about 5 minutes left, and I just wanted to say, like, what advice do you have for the native youth getting into music? Listening to hip hop for the first time, wanting to do what you do. What kind of advice do you have for them?
I would tell them to go for it, follow their dreams, do what inspires them, what motivates them, follow their passions. I think if I would have had that support, for my music at a young age, I could have been so much further along. You know, just finding those people within your circle, who will support your passions. That's key. A lot of times as native youth, we're kind of on our own. Sometimes when it comes to what we want to do with our life, and you know we're kind of born into our society, and they already have their thoughts and ideas of what we need, the role we need to play, the person we need to be. And I would just say, be yourself, be you, do what you want to do, but do it respectfully. Love everyone around you, regardless of their life, their path. Just be respectful
Yeah.
and appreciate life. Live it to the fullest, definitely.
No, that's well said. I mean, it's that's what it is. Just keep doing it. Don't be afraid to fail, and yeah, surround yourself by good people. And the hardest thing of all, be yourself. Like it's so tricky to do that, but yeah, it's amazing what happens to you when you let go. And like hearing you talk about your music and realizing when you kind of tapped into who you are and what influences you, the people that influences you, your musical influences. Um, Hearing it come out in the music, I mean, it really shows that you're an artist. It's amazing. So on the socials, how do people find you?
They can find me pretty much everywhere. Find me on Facebook. All my music videos are up on YouTube. Spotify,
They just
SoundCloud, Rhapsody, iTunes. Yeah.
G
Just
Precious.
Google G Precious, and you'll see all my sites line up for you. So, definitely, tap in, keep in touch, and I'm always willing to come out and do shows for youth, elders, kids, all of that good stuff. So, people can reach out to me, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Now you have quite a few music videos on your YouTube channel too, so people go, yeah, check it out. It's amazing. Yeah. So are you gonna go back to the same studio, the engineer, the same producer and everything?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I love working with Steve, so yeah.
Nah, that sounds amazing. This is in Espanola, right? The studio. What's the
Yeah,
studio again?
it's Chavez Recording Studios.
Ah, wow, that's amazing. Like, there's so many cool little studios in New Mexico. Sorry, I was reading something. There's so many small studios in New Mexico that people don't know about it, and that's the beauty about it. Like Rio Grande Studio is the studio I go to. It's just this kind of, you have no idea it's there, and it's producing amazing content like your stuff. It's just wow. Um, so talking about the culture, the youth, your music videos. I mean, you're on a good path. You got the football. Um, you just have all these cool outlets. Like I can't wait to see how you grow as an artist, and as a musician, and as a performer. Like what you do for the community. Yeah. So if you ever need some piano laid down on one of your tracks, you just let me know, and I'll jump in for free. I'll be like, yeah, we'll do something. Yeah, that's
Right?
amazing. Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
I'm very excited to hear your new album when it comes out. Do you have like a time frame of when a release, or are you just gonna keep? Are you gonna let the new album breathe for a while and then
Yeah, definitely gonna let the Forgotten kind of, do its thing. And so, if anything, I'm looking at probably late 21 or early
good?
22 for this next album.
That's smart. But yeah, no, thank you so much. We're gonna play some of your music as we exit and end the show. I just want to personally thank you for being here. I'm introducing you to the East Coast and like all over the place. Like people like listen to this music. It's amazing music. But
Thank you
thank you.
for having me on.
Yeah, yeah. This is Rise and Thrive with Zachariah Julian, and special guest G Precious. Check out our music, new album, The Forgotten. It's well done. It's beautiful. It's an amazing guest artist on there as well. So thank you so much. Happy Friday,
Thank you.
everybody.
G Precious.
Brick lunatic. Yeah, yeah, brick lunatic.
Let's give it to him. A little something like this. All day, all night.
Night,
Wave your hands in the air, girl. All day, all night.
night,
Wave your hands in the air, girl. All day, all night.
night,
Wave your hands in the air, girl. All day, all night.
night.
Wave your hands in the air, girl. So sexy, so fine. Brown-eyed girl, put your body on mine.